G'day, I'm Ray Hadley. Today I'm joined by Kristy, a former Brydens Lawyers client, who's here to share her experience with the team. Kristy, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking.
What brought you to Brydens?
I have a history of complex PTSD, starting back from early childhood. It was undiagnosed for many, many years, and then as I went on into life further, more mental health issues arose through work, through life, and basically it was just something that had started to impact me more and more and more as I got older.
So I think from that point of view, it's important that people don't think that this could be something that happened to them recently in the workplace.
No.
It can be, in your case,
Yes.
something that started maybe decades ago.
Absolutely.
And has been part of your life for that long.
Yes, most definitely. And I'd probably like to think that if anything about our conversation today, that message goes across, because it does have a massive impact on people. It's my first phone call to them that really brought me here, though. It was a lot of compassion, a lot of understanding. I felt heard. And so that's what brought me here.
So was it a long journey to get to that point where you decided that you had to take control in some way, shape or form?
Absolutely. It was a lot of denial and avoidance and just not accepting and meeting myself where I was at with my journey of mental health. And I'd lived with it all my life as well, so that made it hard to identify, because a lot of mine come from childhood as well as accumulated over the years. It did. It took me some time to get there. It's probably about a 10-year deterioration when I really look at it now.
We've all got a bit of baggage, haven't we, really?
Oh, yeah.
And
Shadows.
Some of it comes from way, way back. Some of it comes from more recently. Mm-hmm. So you eventually make a claim for TPD, total permanent disability. Mm-hmm. You make the call to Brydens. Mm-hmm. You dealt with compassionately. Because I guess in a lot of respects, and I'm a lot older than you, almost 71, when I was growing up, if people weren't dealing with things mentally, they were sort of looked down on. I had an uncle, I explained to you off air, who had PTSD the result of the Second World War. Everyone thought he was just a bit strange.
Yep.
But now we all know that it's real.
I've gone out of my way in this world to make sure I'm trauma informed, not just for myself but for others. But of course it's because I've been impacted by it. So and there's a lot of shame and there's a lot of guilt and there's a lot of labels that come with that. And
admitting to it, as you've done, maybe that's a judgmental word, admitting to it, but confronting it.
Yep.
Confronting it. And admitting to yourself that you've got a problem and you need help.
Yep.
So part of the process then is, of course, planning for the future. You talk to Brydens, you get compassion. So how do they then approach your particular problem?
Well, my particular problem had a massive history involved, and it's complicated for me to gather that, bring that to the insurance companies, and that's where they get involved and they step in and take over. Because I've had extensive trips to doctors and rehabilitation places over the years, and all of that needed to be collaborated and presented to the insurance company. So that's where they really took over and stepped in for me.
Well, I think it'd be almost overwhelming to try and deal with as an individual without someone who's got experience of dealing with such matters like Brydens.
And look, as I'm getting older as well, other things have impacted me, and menopause and things. So even the brain capacity and the bandwidth to do that was not there.
Okay, so you meet with them after you have that initial phone call, and do they then say to you that we'll go back through all of this and help you, guide you to the next step?
Yeah, they do. Exactly what they do. A lot of conversation at the beginning about my history, what had happened recently, what has happened in the past, and then guiding me and themselves getting permission to do the investigation and gather all the evidence that they need.
I don't want to tap into your personal life, but obviously from what you've said, there's trauma involved, lifelong trauma, dating back. So is it hard to talk to a lawyer, a legal firm about that sort of trauma as opposed to talk to a medical specialist?
I think anyone that's perceived in authority, whether it's the doctors, the system entirely, it is hard. And some people aren't as trauma informed even when you're speaking to them, so they can undo or do more damage at times. That was not the case here at all. There was a lot of compassion. There was one day in particular where I rang up very, very, very emotional, and I was heard. I was talked to about the issue. We made a plan to go through it.
Were you feeling at that stage you may have given up if you weren't getting the response you got from Brydens? They talked you down to perhaps say, we can deal with this, just hang in there.
Yes, most definitely. That's how I felt at that point when I rang up. This is too much. And that was more coming from the doctor's side of things and and stuff. It was too much for me, but we kept going.
Just overwhelming. And then the legal process can be really daunting in its own right. But that's where they get involved and take the pressure off you and people like you dealing with things that you're not used to dealing with.
Absolutely. And like when I want something done, I look for people who specialise in what they're doing. And that's what, there's so many different specialties here, but that's particularly one.
So eventually it's resolved successfully.
Yes.
You're never ever out of the woods in terms of where you are, but I guess it gives you some solace that you've got to a stage where things have been resolved that you're happy with.
It's one of our basic fundamental things that we need is that security around finances and hope, stability, consistency, and going from job to job. And I went from full-time work to part-time work to casual work. You know, there was a massive difference in what I was earning. And this has just taken away some of that. Instead of having to force myself to go to work so I can survive, I can now be more considerate and more aware of what I need.
Yeah. It's funny, when you say, you know, you went from, I guess it's the pyramid upside down. You go from these great opportunities and you narrow it and narrow it and narrow it until there's hardly anything left for you to do. Does it empower you now to maybe look at life differently in your perception of where you can go and what you can do into the future because you have a security now that you didn't have prior to that?
Absolutely. And I'm still catching up with that because my claim has only recently come through as successful. And I'm sort of just sitting with that right now and looking at it and having to adjust to life with that. And it's a positive thing, of course, there's no doubt.
Yeah, but it's still complicated.
It is still complicated.
It's not easy. It's not easy, but was it resolved via mediation? And that's where they play a big role. I mean, not every matter ends up in a court.
No.
You know, obviously insurance companies are prepared to mediate for financial reasons. Court costs are expensive. KCs and QCs and senior counsel are expensive. So was that also part of Brydens' strategy to try and mediate and get it solved?
Well, it was part of the service if we needed to go down that far, but my matter didn't actually go as far as is in front of a court or anything like that.
But you see, that's a victory.
It is, yes.
That's a victory for everyone.
Yeah, it is.
Because mediation in court cases is very, very important. And if you reach a resolution you're happy with and the insurer's happy with, well, that's a victory for both sides, I'd imagine. And it empowers you.
Yes.
Okay, so someone in your position who's feeling helpless, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I perceive that you were at that stage in your life when you made that phone call. What would you say to those people in that same position as you?
To not hesitate in just even taking the first step, making that phone call and making the inquiry, because I hesitated for a long time and this could have been resolved sooner. So my advice would be to take that first step, make the phone call and start the process.
In a good space?
I am. I'm doing a lot more for myself right now than I had in a long time, physically, mentally and emotionally.
Fantastic. I really appreciate your honesty and talking to me as well.
No problem.
Thank you very much.